What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the DFS OGs podcast here on Rotogrinders, presented by our friends over at FanDuel. Make sure you guys are checking out all the offerings at FanDuel, not just daily fantasy, a whole sports book at the palm of your hands or on your laptop, desktop, horse racing, casino, everything you could need there on FanDuel. And we appreciate their sponsorship. We'll talk more about our FanDuel DFS OGs contest here as we go throughout the show, but a quick hit if you want to join FanDuel.com/OG, $7 buy-in, season-long payouts, and we are coming up to the end of the year. So we'll highlight some of the top finishers in that contest and take a look at that season-long leaderboard here as we go throughout the show. But want to bring in my boys, my OGs, notorious head chopper Noto. Let's start with you, buddy. How was your week? Obviously, COVID, the story right now, are wreaking havoc on the sports world. I know you're trying to do the NBA grind down. It's probably an impossible task right now. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you joining us here to talk some football. How are we, my man?
Yeah, NBA, there's nothing better than spending an hour of your time breaking a game down and then having to get postponed 5 minutes after you finish it. So it's one of those things. It's a grind this time of year when it comes to sports, especially with all this COVID stuff. But week 15, it was pretty good. Ended up being one of my better weeks of the year. Large in part thanks to Huntley. I mean, had a big game against your Packers. So, yeah, ended up being a good week for me. How about you guys?
So decent week, not that good, but that Packer game, I was out, one of those holiday lights things. They light up the zoo here locally, and then you walk around and, I'm checking the scores. It's 31-17 Green Bay, about 9 minutes left. So I'm like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to check it anymore. And then here's somebody hooting and hollering. The Ravens are about to win. I almost lost it. Like, what, I'm missing this game, but Packers end up surviving. But Huntley, Andrews were certainly guys that you needed. Josh Duck in the chat says happy holidays. So right back at you, Josh. And Chop, I want to get your thoughts here. I mean, this guy, Josh Duck, being requested to smoke a duck on Christmas, the irony in that statement, but he wants to know the take on that. The father-in-law coming in hot. So a smoked duck for Christmas. I mean, we're fancying it up here in the OGs pod. Chop, how are you, my man? Thoughts on that food? Anything else going on over there?
Doing good, hanging in there, trying to survive these last few weeks of the NFL and the way it's playing out. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of that. Like, I get it, in a vacuum, making a duck for Christmas, not a terrible idea because you're probably a little tired of the turkey, and some people don't like the ham. So I don't mind the idea of the duck, but it's the father-in-law coming in hot like that.
Yep.
He's trying to insert his dominance into your household by telling you to make the duck. Now, I don't know about all that, man. I might have to pump the brakes on that one.
And Josh says he's a ham guy, and it's more about making the wife happy. This is a tough spot because I agree with you, Chop. You got to show father-in-law sometimes, like, this is my house. We're going to eat whatever the hell I'm serving. At the same time, not only is the father-in-law going to be mad, you got the wife mad at you as well. So, Derek, any thoughts on this? What's the right answer here? Because, there's a lot of ways you can play this, right, wrong, or otherwise.
Happy wife, happy life. 4 simple words.
Josh comes in hot. Might have to leave him at the airport. And that might be the answer. You can have your ham. You don't have to deal with father-in-law. The wife, you're like, hey, I mean, I tried to pick him up, but he wasn't there.
No, Josh, let me tell you something. You got to be casually like an hour late to pick him up. And then when you finally scoop him, just go, oh, there's the traffic, there's crazy accident up there. But, have a little smirk on your face and let him know there was no accident, my friend. I'm late on purpose, and you better keep in your place there. Know your role in the family here, pal.
And they're all sold out of duck. So the best we could do is a ham for this year. So unless father-in-law is bringing that duck, we don't have any duck this year. So I have never smoked a duck. I've done a lot of different things on the smoker. A duck is not one of them, but a great story there, Josh. So we'll talk more holiday stuff, see what our plans are here this season. Christmas just a few days away. So, I'm still scrambling and shopping, and the kids hit me with, Dad, Mom got you so many presents this year. What do you have for, and I got a couple things lined up. I like to give the wife some nice gifts, but now I feel like I'm up against it, guys. She's got a pile already set up, and, I got my couple things ready to go. So quick thoughts, holidays. Are you ready? Is the shopping done? Where are we at with this whole Christmas thing, Chop? Are you good to go? I know you're a big Christmas guy.
Oh, I've been good to go. Everything's online these days. I mean, why would I step foot outside of this house to buy gifts? And every time my wife talks about like going to a store to get it, I just have to tell her, just wait. I don't understand what y'all's rush is to get out there to a store and buy these gifts, especially on a Saturday or a Sunday. First of all, find time. You can squeeze time during the week to do it when it's far less crowded if you have to, but can't you just get online and find the same stuff? I don't get it, but whatever. It's just, I think it's just a thing for certain people. Got to be out there and be shopping, the actual physical act of shopping. But I'm ready to go, man. I had all my stuff like 2 months ago. I was ready before. Here's what I just, you guys, if you want to do this, you can. You don't have to. Throughout the year, I'll notice stuff and I'll take note of it, and I'll put it on my phone in the notes section. I'll notice if my wife likes something or wants something, or if this person wants something or likes something, and I'll put it down in the notes section. I'll go back, a month later, a couple months later, and I'll find it. I'll get it and I'll have it and I'll hide it in my closet in my office. And like, I got stuff. Check behind me. I got stuff in my closet. I got stuff in my closet for Valentine's Day and for her birthday next year, 6 months from now. Like, just accumulate stuff. And that way you're never out of it. Just accumulate stuff throughout the year, and then you never have to really worry about it.
Chop, you're a rare breed. You're making the rest of us look. I hate shopping. Like, literally, I'm with you. The people that want to go out and shop, my kids want to do. It's kind of a tradition. Take them out shopping for the wife, but setting foot in these stores, dealing with these people, like, I can just click a few buttons and boom, it shows up on my porch. I don't need to do all that. So, but you're making us look bad, Chop. It's a great idea in theory, but let's see where Derek comes out. Derek, I'm the guy that waits to the last. I'll be fine. And then you look and it's December 21st. You're like, oh shit, I better get going here. So, are you with Chop here? You're just accumulating gifts all year round, and no stress in that household either.
Great advice from Chop. I will try to take it next year, but my faith is in the delivery man at this point. All of my gifts have been ordered for about 24 hours now. So get that 2-day delivery and, I'll just be picking up a bunch of packages on the doorstep. So definitely more of a procrastinator. So I'm with you, Beer, on this one, but less stress to do it Chop's way for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start doing. I certainly take the notes once in a while, but not all year round, Chop. That's great advice here. So not only football advice, you're getting keeping the wife happy advice here on the OGs pod. But guys, let's get into some football here. We're going to stick to the main slate and do our best. I would say proceed with caution this week as far as any type of early bets, as far as setting lineups too early. We know that COVID is running rampant throughout the sports world and the regular world. So a lot of things are going to change, but we still want to get you our initial thoughts here on the slate. We're going to still put in our bets as it is right now. So a lot of that will change. Make sure you're staying in tune with the news, and we'll cover you head to toe here at Rotogrinders with that NFL news all the way till these games kick off. But we have Thursday night football. We have some Christmas Day football, which is exciting. But we will turn our attention here to the main slate on Sunday. So, guys, let's dive in with our first game, Rams and Minnesota. And this may be the best game we talk about here. A lot of low totals on this slate, but this one, Rams -3, 49.5 on the total. Derek, we'll start with you. The Rams coming off, I don't know if it's a convincing win. They got the job done at home. Cooper Kupp continues to be a monster. I mean, the comparisons right now are Jerry Rice with some of the numbers he's putting up. So he's expensive. Do you want to go to that? Well, Minnesota side, you got Jefferson, you got Cook here. So this looks to be the headline game. We're starting with it here on the show for a reason. So thoughts on this one? A lot of ways to go here, Rams and Vikings.
Yeah, a lot of good pieces in this one. And, you have to think there's going to be a lot of value that opens up throughout the week. So Cooper Kupp's probably going to be locked into my main lineup on both sides. He just offers, that high floor, that high ceiling. You mentioned it. He just crushes on a weekly basis. So love the spot for Kupp. Certainly no hesitation using him against this Vikings secondary. As far as the backfield goes, Sony Michel played 73% of the snaps in Week 15. So even with Darrell Henderson back, it'll probably get closer to 50-50 this week, I would imagine. But it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know if I want to mess with it right now. But yeah, I thought that was noteworthy. I thought Henderson would be a little bit more involved. Then on the Vikings side, pretty much get all my exposure through two guys, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. Thielen's still banged up. We'll see if he's able to go. But Jefferson should be solid regardless. I'm not too scared of a matchup against Jalen Ramsey potentially. And then Dalvin, 30 or more touches in back-to-back games. So he's going to get a ton of work. You mentioned it. This is the game that we all want exposure to. And so I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I don't hate that play at all. This one should have a lot of back and forth here. I'm going to go with the Rams, though. I know Minnesota's back is against the wall. They've been playing some good football, survived in that game against the Bears. But I think the Rams starting to right the ship a little bit here. That running back split, Josh was talking about it in the chat as well. It seems like, I mean, it's a better fit for Sony Michel to be the early down grinder. Darrell Henderson has the propensity to break down. So using him more in that change of pace type role, big playability, certainly fits there. So Chop, Cook, Jefferson, Kupp. I mean, those guys obviously are going to be a big part of our player pool. Are you going beyond that here? Are we stacking this game up? Anyone you're avoiding in this one? And of course, your bet here, Rams and Vikings. What do we got?
No, I'm not avoiding anybody. I think this is the best game on the slate to stack and to play around with. Minnesota's really condensed. We talk about it all the time, so they're all in play. Every bit of them. The Cousins, Cook, Jefferson, and Thielen. After that, I'm probably not messing with Tyler Conklin's or anything like that. I think there's all that, but those are the four guys you can play them. And the Rams, I'm with you in that. This seems a little low, kind of a low spread here for me. I feel like they're the better team, and yeah, they've underperformed recently, but I'll give them a pass. I still think they're the far better team. And Cooper Kupp, I haven't seen a year like this since Jerry Rice with New England. That year he went to New England, and this is like the definition. Like when you look in the fantasy dictionary and you look up the term league winner, like Cooper Kupp's picture is right there. This is what a league winner looks like, man. Almost every single week, just monster performance after monster performance. No spoilers here, but he got me to the next round of the playoffs in my season one. So I mean, hey, I can live with it, but I think they're all in play again. Stafford and his wide receivers, and I don't know if I want to take a chance on Henderson or Michelle. I'd like to dig a little deeper in that and figure out if that was just easing Henderson back in it, or if this is going to be a thing moving forward until the playoffs. A total split here. I don't know. So for those reasons, I could probably find more running backs that I like in other places, but the passing game here, big time. I'm all on it. Give me the Rams minus the points here.
All right, Chop, you're being paged in the chat here. So someone's asking for a favor from you. Do you want to respond to John Doe here?
Is there a question there, or does he just
he's looking for you to give him a little chant here? I think
John Doe Team Doe, aka Team Cup. Okay, good. Can I get a yeet? Okay. I guess that's what they say these days. But yeah, hopefully next week I'm with you in the Super Bowl, man. This is I don't even know if I want to go there yet. Maybe we'll save it.
And whatever you want. I ran into a Cooper Kupp buzzsaw in one of my leagues for sure. So he took me out. Had some underperformers in another league. I'm sure it's a common theme for a lot of people as it was last week. But no doubt, Kupp been a monster for sure. I still think he's worth the price here. Prices are going up, but tough to argue that the connection here with Stafford and Cooper Kupp. All right, next game, guys. We got the Giants and Philadelphia. Philly sitting at 10-point favorites in this one. Very low total as we'd expect, 40.5. I'll try to update all the injuries and things we know as of right now. Again, we're going to have more. Things are going to change. Daniel Jones done for the year for the Giants. We know that. Saquon Barkley questionable here in this one. So maybe Devontae Booker becomes a value play. Kadarius Toney still on the COVID-19 list. Expected back tomorrow. So we'll see if he's able to return. And, of course, Sterling Shepard placed on IR. So he is done for the season. So, Chop, will stay with you. Feels like a spot Philly should win easily, but DFS, Jalen Hurts, always a guy we want to look to. Do you want to go there this week? Do you feel the need to pair him? Got Devonta Smith. Got your boy, Dallas Goedert, if you want to go down that route. But Giants side, pretty tough to like anything here in this matchup, but with a tough Philly defense.
Yeah, lucky. I mean, how lucky does Philly run? They get back-to-back preseason games basically against preseason opponents because this Giants team is not good right now. And Washington on Tuesday night was just absolutely atrocious with that quarterback. Now you're going to get probably the third stringer here. I don't think Mike Glennon is going to be playing this game. I think they've seen enough of him, so he might get a third stringer here. But and because of that, I just can't touch anything on this Giants offense. It's pretty bad. And for Philly, yeah, I don't see the necessity to pair Jalen Hurts with it. Like that's one of the few players that a quarterback you don't have to stack. You can, and they're giving Goddard a little bit more action lately. I'm a little surprised because he went through like basically the full season up until these last 2 weeks, and he was like just an afterthought in the offense, really. And now, starting with the Gardner Minshew game, they got him involved, and then on Tuesday night, he was the slate winner at tight end on Tuesday night on that little 2-gamer. So, yeah, but I still don't think you have to pair Hurts because of his running ability, but you can. So, yeah, it's a bad Giants team. Hurts, Sanders, Devontae, Goddard, all in play. Miles Sanders might actually be a little chalky. So I'm kind of like probably not going to go Miles Sanders if he's going to be chalky like that, but he's looked impressive, that's for sure. So they're all in play, though. It's a pretty big spread. I have to say, man, that's a low total, too. I'm going to say, it's tough I don't think I could take the Giants here. I think I can take the under because I just don't want to trust Philadelphia given double digits. They're just sometimes they're like they even struggled against Washington in that game a little bit. And so I don't want to have to depend on Philly as a double-digit favorite. So just give me the under here.
Yeah, Garrett Gilbert in that one for Washington. Now, I mean, we were waiting for the Jake from State Farm joke here, Chop. He might be the quarterback here, Jake Fromm. So, yeah. Miles Sanders feels very much like Jacoby Myers was for a while. We're waiting. Is he going to score a touchdown? It's almost like he's allergic to the end zone here. It putting up numbers, no doubt. So do you trust him as a play here? Is Jalen Hurts a guy you want to go to? Do you want to pair him with either of those guys and find us something here on the Giants? As far as the bet goes, I am going to go Philly here. I do think they dominate this game, Chop. I agree with some of the concerns. They're one of those teams when you feel they should roll. Sometimes they let you down, but they're on a roll right now. I just don't see the Giants doing much in this game. So give me Philadelphia minus the 10. Noto, what do you got here?
I think I'm going to be underweight on Miles Sanders. I know it's a great spot for him. I know they're big favorites at home, but I mean, just look at his snap count, less than 50% last week. Jordan Howard played a big role. He lost 2 goal line carries to Jalen Hurts, which is never great. And he's not really involved in the passing game. He's had 3 or fewer targets in like 6 straight games. So he could definitely get there. He could rack up a bunch of yards in this matchup. But for me, if he's going to be popular, I'll take an underweight stance. I love the spot for Hurts. I always like running quarterbacks when they're big favorites because even when they're playing with the lead, he's going to be heavily involved in the running game. Don't need to pair him up, but Dallas Goedert looked pretty good last week. That's 2 big games in a row, I believe. One was with the stash under center, but it was good to see him have a big game with Hurts under center. Giants side, maybe a little Booker if Saquon's out. That's pretty much it for me, though. I don't want to mess with these receivers. I haven't gotten them right all season. No need to go there this week. So I'm going to agree with you, Bear. Give me the Eagles at home. Generally, you want to take, the underdogs in these division battles late in the season, but I think Philly is in a decent enough spot that they can get the job done.
All right, next game. This one should be fun, no doubt. Buffalo and New England up next. Injury-wise here, Damian Harris questionable. He was spotted at practice today, so I always love the spotted at or was present at practice. We don't really know if he did anything. Ramondre Stevenson was not seen at practice, so kind of revolving door there with these New England running backs. COVID-19 list for Kendrick Bourne, Cole Beasley on the other side in questionable tags right now for Nelson Aguilar, N'Keal Harry, and Emmanuel Sanders. So this one, obviously, a lot of news still to come. Derek, we'll stay with you. I mean, Buffalo really needs this game. Is that enough? They're back against the wall to make you want to go there. I mean, 20-point team total here is usually a number we kind of avoid, but Josh Allen here in this spot, Singletary's kind of gone to the top of that depth chart at the running back position. Diggs should be in a good spot here. New England side, again, a lot of injuries to parse through. So this one, a little tough to break down, but thoughts here. Buffalo, again, do you want to go there in the spot against New England on the road?
From a DFS standpoint, I don't know how much interest I have in this game. I mean, you can always make a case for Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, but that low total, that definitely worries me a little bit. As for their backfield, I mean, Singletary is kind of taken over as the main guy. He played on 82% of the snaps in Week 14 and 93% last week. So he's basically getting all the work. He's really cheap. This is a game where they could be trailing. He's obviously the better pass catching back in this offense. So maybe I'll look his way in tournaments. With the Patriots, you just never know what to trust outside of their running game. So if Harris is active, it's probably going to be a stay away for me. If he's out, then I'll certainly go back to Ramondre Stevenson. And then for my pick, man, I'm going to take the Bills here. I know I wish I had like a 3.5 point spread, but I'm not putting too much stock into that first game. It was like 50-mile-per-hour winds, and neither team could pass the ball. So I think the Bills bounce back, and I'll go with Buffalo.
I'm on Buffalo here as well. I do think that the pressure, they need this win. I do think they're gonna take it out on New England. New England's been good, no doubt. The defense is phenomenal, for sure. The coaching edge here goes to Belichick, but everything's pointing me towards Buffalo here in this game. I'm with you as far as DFS goes. Tough to trust too much here. Josh Allen is expensive. Is the ceiling going to be unlocked in this game? I'm not sure about that. Gabe Davis, we're talking about him in the chat. He has been great. If Sanders is out, I don't mind going back to him even at the price. Elevated a little bit from last week, but I like Buffalo here. So, Chop, let's get your thoughts. A low total here, but it should be a fun game to watch. That being said, does it translate to our DFS lineups? Who are you looking at in this one?
I don't know. I don't think it does. I have a hard time, rostering Stephon Diggs against these cornerbacks. They're pretty good. And they've done a good job on him. With the exception of I think they played in the last week of one of the seasons last year or the year before, the very last week where guys were sitting out and things like that. And or New England was hit with defensive COVID things last year. So other than that, though, when the games have really mattered, then New England's done a pretty good job on Diggs. So not really too intrigued on that one. Maybe Gabe Davis, who is playing really well with he was playing well with Sanders out, and now Cole Beasley's out. So Davis should continue to do pretty well. I'm not going to chase after the Singletary. I think it's a too tough of a matchup. And I don't even know if I really feel good about Josh Allen in this matchup. He's such a high-priced guy. Kind of needs to run for him to be really good and pay off that price. And I just don't know if he's going to run that much with that sore foot. So, and then New England side, the big wins in the last game really held down the game script. It was all run. But even if it's perfectly, if they were in a dome, I still don't think they want Mac Jones to throw the ball more than 15, 16 times in a game, preferably for them, unless they got down and they had to play catch up. So I'm kind of out on Mac Jones and his receivers. I will take some GPP stabs at either one of the running backs if they're both healthy. If Harris is not healthy, then definitely Ramondre Stevenson on my radar. But otherwise, not a very fantasy-friendly game. But I was eyeballing this game since that win game a few weeks ago. I wanted Buffalo, and I'm going to stick with Buffalo here.
All right, our first addition to the parlay card here, Buffalo.
How'd that card do last week?
That card, let's
Pretty
take a
good,
look. It did all right. Miami let us down. We had Philadelphia -7. Miami -10. Miami kept messing around with the Jets. They end up winning the game, but I think they won by 7. So, 1-1 on that card. But overall, pretty solid week. If you guys followed the bets from last week, we're going to recap that here shortly. But they were very good across the board. Not great news for us, Derek, as we're not making up ground on Chop. But overall, a bunch of winners last week. So we'll go over that here in a little bit. So Buffalo, our first edition here this week. They're asking about Isaiah McKenzie in the chat, guys. Josh wants to know, is it too thin? I'd say so. I guess if Emmanuel Sanders is out, that really would be the only way I'm even looking at that. But any quick thoughts here on Isaiah McKenzie, Chop?
That's way too thin for my taste.
Derek?
I was going to say, he's one of those guys I don't feel great about playing in showdown, so I don't think I'm going to be playing him in a full slate.
Yeah, you're really counting on that big play from him, and we really haven't seen it that often this year. So Sanders is out, maybe, but I think the three of us agree that one a bit off the radar. So let's go to our next game here. And Derek, did we even get to talk about Urban Meyer, or did that happen after our show last week? So he is gone now. So I want to give you the floor here. If we didn't talk about it, maybe we did. But thoughts here? No more Urban Meyer here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I believe the kicking the kicker story dropped Thursday morning last week, and he was gone shortly after that. And man, I felt pretty good about my Jags pick at that point. The line got all the way up to like 5.5, and classic Jags, they just lost twice to the Texans. So yeah, I mean, if they lose to the Jets here, it's all bad news. But at this point, I think they have the odds-on favorite to get the number one pick again. So maybe they get another franchise quarterback next year.
Say, are you worried about Trevor Lawrence? Let's just take a quick second here. We'll get back to the action here. But, I mean, this guy has not been, the hyped guy that we thought he would be out of Clemson. I mean, he's looked pretty bad. So I know there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that have not looked great. Peyton Manning, even Andrew Luck. So are you worried here, though? I mean, he's been well below average, in my opinion.
It's kind of funny how he's gotten a free pass. You look at his stats; they're pretty much similar to Zach Wilson's, and everyone's hating on Zach Wilson. So I don't think he can get the free pass much longer. I'm definitely worried about him, but not giving up just yet.
All right, we'll go to Chop. We'll come back to you here, Derek, on this one. Chop, obviously an ugly game here. Jacksonville, like you mentioned, Houston stomped them out here. Not a ton of injuries in this game. The receivers for the Jets remain an issue. Elijah Moore transferred from the IR to the COVID list. We knew he was going to miss multiple weeks. We know Corey Davis already out for the season. And then Carlos Hyde on the other side placed on IR. So, Chop, this one's ugly, but James Robinson, likely the story here, will likely be very, very popular in DFS. About the best, not about, this is the best matchup you can ask for as a running back. Jets allow the most fantasy points, ton of touchdowns here. So, where do we come out on James Robinson? Cash games, easy play. Plug him in. Tournaments, if he's going to be super chalky, this is generally the one position we don't worry as much about it. But how are you handling this? Let's say he's going to be 35%. We'll just throw a number out there. What are we doing with James Robinson here against the Jets?
Well, first off, Urban Meyer's not wrong. The dipshit kicker's got to make the kicks. He might still be employed if the guy makes his kicks, but you never know. But I think Trevor Lawrence deserves a free pass for this whole year. A dysfunctional coaching staff, the best wide receiver by a wide margin, got hurt before the season even started. This is a ragtag. I mean, Laquan Treadwell, passed down from team to team, is your number one wide receiver, basically. Trevor Lawrence gets a pass on this one. But James Robinson, yeah, he's a big-time cash game guy for me this week. I like him again. Came out of that shell last week with the coaching change. I'll ride that guy some more, and I'm not interested. The one Jet I've been chasing is Jamison Crowder, and I'm just kind of tired of it. Like, there's no point to it. I mean, you're praying for a 2-touchdown game because the volume on the other stuff just isn't there. So I could probably pass on the Jets. The Jags not a bad defense anyway. I'll pass on that. James Robinson is the only guy I have interest in. Passing game. It's not that Lawrence can't do anything. He will long-term, but not with this group of wide receivers. So just James Robinson in this game for me. And, there's no way. The Jets, a favorite? No, can't do it. Give me Jacksonville.
I mean, if we went the other way, Jacksonville's the favorite. I mean, is that a better that's
exactly.
reasonable?
If Jacksonville was the favorite, I'd be Jacksonville the favorite. Give me the Jets.
Exactly.
No, it's not. So give me
right.
Jacksonville because I got to take the dog in this one.
Taking that 1 point for sure. So I stepped into the Michael Carter trap last week. It was more a run it back with Miami lineups, but Derek, that was one. He's going to get a ton of work, and then it's Tevin Coleman. It's everybody but Michael Carter. So. Thoughts on him? Do you see him maybe getting more involved this week? Trying to find something in this game, Derek, that's not James Robinson. So maybe it's just as simple as that. It's Robinson and move on here. Jets, Robert Saleh was dealing with COVID here as well. So they may be without their head coach here. So is there anything outside of James Robinson of value here in this game, Derek?
I don't think so, but I don't hate Zach Wilson. The Jaguars much better against the run than they are against the pass. And we saw Davis Mills torch him last week in Jacksonville. So if there's ever a game for Wilson to look a little bit better, maybe this is going to be it. I don't think I'll end up going there, but I don't hate him. As for Michael Carter, you mentioned he was kind of eased back into action, 44% snap rate in week 15. And prior to that, his big games were kind of with Mike White under center, where he was getting a lot of dump offs. So I'm not going to trust him here. Jags, again, pretty good run defense. Robinson, I mean, he's a lock and load play for me. He's too cheap on both sides. I don't know why he didn't get a bigger price bump. He's going to be 25 touches maybe in this game against the worst run defense in football. So love the spot for James Robinson, even in tournaments. And then for my pick, oh, man, it's so bad. Both these offenses can't score. Both these defenses can't stop anyone. I don't feel great about either team to win. Give me the over.
All right, I'm going to go with the Jets here. Neither of these teams this should have been just a pick 'em. Like, both these teams suck. Nobody's a favorite, but I'll go the Jets. I don't feel strongly either way on this one. We'll see which one is going to end up being worse here out of these two teams. Should be a disaster. So next game, Chargers traveling to Houston. LA big 9.5-point favorites. 46 on the total. Not a ton of injuries here. We got to keep an eye on Austin Eckler. Questionable here. So we'll see if he's able to give it a go. Houston side, David Johnson, questionable. That's pretty much it. So Derek, obviously the Chargers, Eckler, the passing game, all options that we could go to. Houston, it's generally Brandon Cooks or bust. We saw him have that big game against your Jags. So preference here, Eckler or the passing game. Let's just pretend Eckler's playing here. Or you could always include him in the passing game stack. He's certainly one of those running backs that it applies to. But which Chargers are you prioritizing here in this one against Houston?
If we get news that Eckler is a full go, I think I'll prefer him over the passing game. I'll obviously have some Charger stacks as well, with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert. But just sets up so good for Eckler. The problem is that he only played 34% of the snaps last week. So he was active and then just saw the field very little. It's not like he left the game with an injury. They just used him very sparingly. So that's something to monitor throughout the week. Obviously, Justin Jackson would be, a smash play if Eckler ends up being out. Texans side, I played Brandon Cooks last week, but it was against the Jaguars, and the Chargers fourth best in terms of fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. It's a tougher matchup for him. I know they're playing at home, probably be playing catch-up mode as well, but I'm going to let other people chase that. I would rather play the Chargers defense, pair them up with Eckler instead of, doing a stack and bringing it back with Cooks. And for my pick, since it's under 10, I will take the Chargers.
I'm torn on a pick here. I'm all over the place. I'm going to go the Chargers here as well. It's not helping me gain any ground on you, Derek, but I think the Chargers dominate this game. I was debating the over here, but I don't know that they have enough in them. I know they put 30 points on the board against your Jags. Davis Mills has not looked terrible here, Chop. Maybe he's a cheap tight or quarterback play this week, but I'm gonna go with the Chargers here as well in this one. They should roll. It makes me nervous because they're always one of those teams that whenever you think they're gonna roll, they don't. But your thoughts here: passing game, running game, or both here against Houston this week for LA?
Well, I'll start off with Houston. I don't have any interest in anybody from Houston, not even Brandon Cooks. I would prefer him in just really good matchups, and that's about it. I just don't have any confidence in the offense. So for the Chargers, I definitely, and it's not even close, I definitely prefer the passing game. For the exact reasons what Derek said, is that Austin Eckler was treated with kid gloves in that, and that was an incredibly pivotal game against the Chargers last week that they lost. And they still, too many times when he, I thought he looked great. I thought he looked spry and everything. Not like he was limping around or anything, and they still gave too many looks to Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson for my liking. So, man, I have a hard time, and it pains me to say this because I've depended on this guy in my season all year long. But he just I don't know that they're going to give him a full workload here, and it's the Houston Texans, and they can't feel that bad about this matchup. So they got to feel like they're going to dominate, and when they do, I have issues with Eckler this week. I'm really worried about him. With that being said, when Josh Kelly did fumble the one time inside the 1 yard line, immediately, finally, they gave Eckler the goal line carry down, because up until that point, he was on the bench when they were inside the 5 all those times, and it was really painful to watch. So maybe he got his goal line carries back, but I don't think the snap count's going to be that much higher than it was last week. So I definitely prefer Herbert and his wide receivers to come out and smash this game early, and then to insert Justin Jackson in there. Justin Jackson and Josh Kelly, let them grind the clock out on Houston, and I think the Chargers run away with a big win here. I'll take the Chargers minus the points.
All right, another parlay addition here, and Chop Eckler's not been the same since you benched him in your season-long league.
Man,
ever since then, we haven't.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because that cost me #1 seed in the league, and the guy who ended up getting it. First of it, this guy's having a hissy fit right now because this week he just learned about the new format in the playoffs, where we're going to basically first 2 weeks, a guy gets eliminated out of the 4 teams in the first week, and then the low score gets eliminated in the second week, and then 2 guys will face head-to-head in week 17 in our league. This is the first time we've ever done this. He's having a stroke over it, man. He just now learned of it. Like, we voted on this during the drafting process, fella. Were you not paying attention? We voted on it. So if you had an objection, you should have raised it then. But yeah, I've gotten like 20 text messages on this thread about this guy. He's calling it the Biden system, where everybody wins and all this other stuff. It's bizarre, man, but it's crazy. But yeah, so I advanced, he advanced, another guy advanced. It's working, but Eckler, man, I should be the first #1 seed. I should have won that money, but I benched him, and yeah, he hasn't been the same since. And man, this is a tough decision this week. You would feel really stupid about benching Eckler in your season long and watching him go off, but man, I got question marks about his workload this week.
Yeah, don't mix your politics and fantasy football. Let's keep those two separate. But we do have some breaking news here, and we're on the perfect game for it. Brandon Cooks placed on the COVID list by the Houston Texans. So him, and along with the kicker, Kyami Fairbairn for Houston. So task gets a little tougher here. So any interest, guys, if he's unable to go, do we want to reach into the Nico Collins bag, the Chris Conley bag, down the chart even more here? Or we're staying away completely? Anything change here with this Brandon Cooks news?
Not for me, really.
I was going to say Brevin Jordan's been decent. Pharaoh Brown's out again, but he's currently projected as active, so we'll see.
I think the only thing that happens, this Chargers line gets a little bit bigger without Cooks. So you probably see this thing balloon to, probably over 10 for sure, possibly as high as 11. But we are locked in at that 9.5 number.
We gave y'all some good CLV, some good closing line value then.
Sure did, but hopefully better get on that now. It's probably too late. Sportsbooks have gotten a lot better. There used to be that little delay you could get in there, but now they're on top of stuff. So maybe even digging into some player props, find some value there. But some breaking news here on the OGs pod. Let's move on. Next game, Detroit traveling down to Atlanta. Falcons -6. Another low total here at 42.5. The Lions got some encouraging news. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams back at practice. So does not mean they're going to play. A lot of talk locally of shutting Swift down for the season. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that. I mean, he'd be a great play here. Good price going back down to Georgia. So you get that in your corner as well. We also have Jared Goff dealing with some COVID-19 symptoms. So tested positive. We'll see if he's able to get back for this game. So guys, another game. We got to kind of tiptoe through everything here, but thoughts on this one? If it's Goff, if it's potentially Tim Boyle here, potential return of DeAndre Swift. Craig Reynolds has been outstanding, kind of off the scrap heap here for the Lions, and coming off a big win. Shocked the world with that win against Arizona. Amon-Ra St. Brown playing some good football. Falcons side, go out San Francisco and get crushed. So thoughts here, Chop, will stay with you. Again, a lot of injuries to tiptoe around here, but what do you got here, Lions and Falcons?
Yeah, the Atlanta defense isn't very good, and Detroit might be slightly worse. So, but then you look at the offensive skill players on these teams, and it doesn't do much for you. If Swift is active, then yeah, I think you fire him up. I think if Jared Goff is not able to play in this game, as much as I've liked the progress of Amon-Ra St. Brown, I can't mess with him if Tim Boyle is your quarterback. So Swift is about the only guy on that side I would entertain playing if he's active. On the Falcons side, I would want somebody to take advantage of the Detroit secondary, but they just don't have a lot of good receivers. Russell Gage is your number one, and he's not bad, but he's the only one really. Kyle Pitts, I don't get it. I guess the tight end first year struggle thing is real. It's legit, man. Everybody kind of thought he would be the guy who could change the narrative where first rookie tight ends don't do well. Well, rookie tight ends just don't do well, period, no matter who they are. So little leery on the pass catchers. Maybe Cordell Patterson is an okay play, but this game in general, I think, is kind of unappealing to me. And I could be wrong. This could be like the 60-point shootout. It just could be because of these defenses, but I'm going under on this game. I'm going under the number here. I don't like this game for offense at all.
I'm going to go with Detroit here again. It's tough not knowing who the quarterback is going to be, and this may look silly if it's Boyle, as bad as he looked in that game against Houston. But Detroit, we've talked about, been very competitive in games. I think they're riding high. That they're starting to buy in to some of the hype Dan Campbell brings as that head coach here. Reynolds been a good story, so we'll see if they're able to get Swift Goff back. This line may dip a little bit, but I'm gonna risk it here and go with the Lions. Plus the 6. I do think there's some cheap plays. If Goff is in there, Amon-Ra St. Brown, again, has been great. I don't mind going back to that well here. The running game behind that offensive line gets a good matchup here with the Falcons. Atlanta, Derek, it's tough to trust anybody. Cordero Patterson's been a good story, but he's expensive. Chop brought up Pitts. I'm pretty much done with Kyle Pitts here. If he beats me, so be it. And I just can't trust Russell Gage as a wide receiver 1 here. So Lions, decent value on that side, but mostly a stay away game for me, and give me the Lions plus the 6. Derek, what do you got here?
Yeah, this one's tough because these defenses are two that we typically like to stack against. And the offensive, there have been some bright pieces. So I probably have a little bit more interest in you guys. As far as the Lions backfield goes, I mean, if Swift's active, I just don't think I can go there. He's been out a month. They have nothing to play for really at this point. I don't see them, giving him 70% of the snaps. Reynolds has looked good. Jamal Williams is going to be back. So I'll probably avoid that. If he ends up being out, then I don't mind, looking to Williams or Reynolds. And then if Goff's under center, yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been great. And I kind of gave up on him at the wrong time. He's had at least 11 targets in 3 straight games and just crushed. And I also gave up on Russell Gage too soon. After he gave me a second bagel, I just couldn't do it anymore. Then he comes back and has 4 big games in a row. So he's probably my preferred option for the Falcons. But yeah, this game should be filled with offensive goodness, but I just don't think it will be. So I'm going to take the under as well.
All right, let's move on. Baltimore, Cincinnati up next. Bengals sitting at -2.5. Another middling total at 44.5. The story here, obviously, the quarterback situation here in Baltimore. We'll see if Lamar Jackson is able to return. Huntley looked phenomenal in that game against Green Bay. Again, almost carried them back to victory. They go for 2 at the end, don't get it. So Green Bay survives, but Huntley, what was phenomenal. Price obviously has ticked up a little bit. Other injuries, Joe Mixon, questionable, but sounds like he will go. Was at practice today. I don't think there's any issues there. No other major injuries in this one. So Derek, we'll stay with you. This one has the feel of this is one we're going to want to target. There's some bad games on this slate, but a lot of big names in this one. So again, who are you prioritizing here? Whether it's Jackson or Huntley, I don't think a lot changes as far as who we're targeting. We saw Huntley have that great connection with Mark Andrews. So you think that continues? But this one, again, a lot of ways you can go. What are you doing here? Ravens, Bengals.
Yeah, a lot of ways you can go. I think my favorite part of this game is going to be the Bengals passing attack. Marlon Humphrey, I believe he's still on injured reserve, and Jimmy Smith didn't play last week. I think he was on the COVID list. So he's a player to keep an eye on. I think it's a blow-up spot for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And because of that, I like Joe Burrow as well. And then Baltimore really just depends on Lamar Jackson. If he's active, I kind of like running him out there. It's kind of a solo play. And then if it's Huntley, yeah, I think you can pair him up with Mark Andrews. They look great together last week. I don't think I'll have too much exposure to these backfields. Mixon does have some upside. But Baltimore, just too many players that aren't getting enough work. So I will take the under just because I think these divisional games late in the season, they tend to be close. They tend to be low scoring. So I'll just go with the trend there.
And Jamar Chase said that big, massive game he had came against these Ravens, 8 for 201 yards in that one last time these two teams played. So it was kind of his, I would say, a rival. We knew he was good, but his biggest game yet as a pro. So we'll see if he can duplicate that. But I'm with you. I like the Cincinnati side more than I like the Baltimore side, as much as they spread the ball around. Andrews, I think a lot of people are going to go back to that. Well, you're not going to get what you got last week. Not that he's a bad play, but I prefer Cincinnati here. That being said, I will take the Bengals. Chop, what do you got here? Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah, similar stuff right here. In that I like the Burrow and his wide receivers this week more than I like any of the running backs in this game. Call me crazy, but I think Tyler Huntley kind of looks a little bit better. Looks like a sharper version of Lamar Jackson right now. I know Lamar is probably the better player long term, but right now with the injuries and everything, Huntley looked like Lamar, but with the speed that we're accustomed Lamar to playing at and running the ball. Lamar just hasn't run the ball a lot this year, so I don't know that it's a huge upgrade for Baltimore to get Lamar back. I think Huntley is kind of looking pretty good there, and because of all that, Cincinnati's got a sneaky good defense at home, and Lamar is I think he's going to struggle a little bit in this game. So I'm going to take the Bengals here. It's a low enough total. I think the Bengals back up against the wall for the playoffs and everything. So I think Cincinnati is going to win this game, and I'm only I got to give less than a field goal. I'll take Cincinnati at home.
All right, last game in the early window. We got Tampa Bay coming off maybe the bigger head scratcher than even Arizona last week, losing at home 9-0 to the Saints. They go to Carolina here, big favorites. So we're going to hear all about Angry Tom this week, Chop, but he's going to be without. Obviously, Chris Godwin done for the year. We'll see if Mike Evans is able to return. Sounds like he may miss multiple weeks. No Leonard Fournette here. He will also miss multiple weeks. The good news, Antonio Brown is back, looking good. It's funny how they went from we don't even know if we're going to keep him this year, and now things have changed. You need him back in that lineup. So do you trust him enough to play him very cheap out there in DFS this week? Ronald Jones steps up as the RB1 here. Gronk obviously becomes more important. Tyler Johnson, Scott, we can go on and on with these Tampa Bay guys. So parse through who do we trust here out of these receivers not named Antonio Brown, and do you trust Brown enough? And then is there anything on the Carolina side? DJ Moore sounds like he's going to be a true game time decision here. No practice today for him. So, and Sam Darnold back as well. So it's a mess there. They're going to start Cam, but quotes say Sam Darnold will be involved here as well. So Carolina, pretty easy to stay away from their side. Let's just focus on Tampa Bay here, Chop. And again, parse through some of these receivers, some of these value plays, the running backs. What are we doing here with this Tampa Bay side?
Yeah, really easy to stay away from the Carolina side. For Tampa Bay, yeah, I know we want to buy into the Tom Brady narrative. He's very angry after getting shut out by New Orleans. But first of all, that wasn't a huge surprise to get shut down by New Orleans because they do a good job against Tampa and Tom Brady. But yeah, he's going to be angry. But now he's going to get to see how kind of like some of the other side lives a little bit. I don't think he'll have Mike Evans and he won't have Chris Godwin, so he doesn't have like this quartet of great pass catching options. So I think he's gonna struggle a little bit more. And he's gonna struggle in this game. They're not gonna get shut out or anything, but I don't think it's gonna come as easy as people think it is. Yeah, and I think if Mike Evans is out, you turn to Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski. They're two of the better plays on the slate. Although Antonio's coming back from this big absence and hasn't played football in quite a while, you got to wonder about how much he can play and how effective he can be. But he's still got to be a big threat there in that game. And maybe Ronald Jones, but I think Ronald Jones is going to be strictly a 2-down back. He's not going to have the Leonard Fournette role. So I'm a little worried about the Tampa Bay offense in general. But Gronk and Brown, two of the best at their position. The rest of this thing, I have question marks about. So what's my number here? 11? 10 and a half?
10 and a half. Totals at 44.
Give me the under on this game. I'm feeling Brady kind of like struggling just a little bit. Give me the under.
I'm also on the under in this one. I agree completely. I think there'll be some great DFS value. Tyler Johnson has looked good with his opportunities. We know that Brady's going to lean on Gronk. I think Cameron Brate going to be more involved. Scotty Miller will be a cheap play. So as we get closer to Sunday, I think we'll have more clarity on who exactly is going to be in what roles. But I think scoring will be at a premium in this game. I do think you'll see some struggles there without Godwin and Evans. Some of these guys, again, they'll pay off their cheap price tags, but they're not filling those shoes. In Carolina, it's just a mess here. It's, again, an easy stay away, Chop. I agree with you on that. So 2 unders, Derek. What do you got here? Bucks and Panthers.
Agree with you guys. Stay away from Carolina, and I agree with you guys on the under, but I got some ground to make up, so I'm going to take the Buccaneers just because I think they're the better team. I know they're going to be missing some key pieces, but I mean, Brady's still fighting for the MVP. It looks like on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, he's at plus 185. Aaron Rodgers at plus 145. So it's going to come down to the last few games, and he might be able to win over, the voters if he's able to, run the table here with missing some pieces. So I like Brady. Ronald Jones, he's going to get all the work. He's not a very good pass catcher, but you got to think Brady's going to be dumping it off at least a few times, in early downs. So I like Jones. I like Antonio Brown, obviously, at the price point. I like Gronk. If I like everyone on one team and nobody on the other, I got to take the Buccaneers.
All right, let's take a look at last week in our FanDuel OGs contest. Again, FanDuel.com/OG. Single entry tournament, $7 buy-in. So it runs like a normal tournament. So even if you haven't been playing all season long, you missed some weeks, there's still some opportunities here to win some money, play against us. So again, go get reserved right now, FanDuel.com/OG. It also has a season-long payout and leaderboard that you can find at that same address. We want to highlight some of the top finishers as we do each and every week. 5th place went to One Eye Willie 05. Love that username. 150.72. I had a Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez Scantling stack. Ran it back with Mark Andrews, 30 FanDuel points for Andrews. So had to have him. So 5th place there. 4th place, Ravens 68, just a tick above at 150.9. I had Tyler Huntley, 35 FanDuel points at 1.5% ownership. Had him paired up with Mark Andrews, Jeff Wilson in that lineup with a big day. And of course, a lot of James Robinson in a lot of these lineups. Mr. Lebowski, 72, finishes 3rd, 153.92. Again, Rodgers, Adams, MVS, run it back with Andrews. Brandon Cooks in the flex, a big game there. Survived that down game from Michael Carter, like I mentioned, in that Dallas defense. Looking legit, Chop. Your Cowboys looking good. We'll talk about them. But that was the defense here for Mr. Lebowski. Brady D. Callahan finished at 2nd, 159.12. Rodgers to MVS here on this one. Adams as well. Another Andrews lineup, another Brandon Cook sighting. So a lot of similar names here. But sitting atop the leaderboard, first place goes to Bobby Toth, 161.02. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, as you'd expect. The big difference maker here, Gabriel Davis, 23 FanDuel points, couple touchdowns at 16% ownership. Also had James Robinson, Jeff Wilson, and survived a down game from Joe Mixon. So congrats to Bobby Toth for taking down this week's contest. Chop, season-long update time. How we looking on the leaderboard?
Yeah, 4794 had another good week, man. He's hanging tough in there. So he's looking strong right now. We'll see how it plays out. But I scrolled down to top 30 and looked, and I saw Derek at 27. So Derek's hanging up in there and trying to let me see here. Notorious, a 127 last week, which is really good considering the size of the tournament. That gets you up there. That helps out. So Derek's in there, man. He's hanging tough. And
he is.
Yeah.
How many spots does this pay?
I don't think 27, but
I think it might be top 50, actually, if I remember correctly.
I need a min cash.
Oh man, who's our boy? Oh, Urine OK. Let me see if I can find Urine OK. Oh, there he is, 49th place. Yeah, he had an average.
You better hope there's 50 payouts.
Yeah, man. Let's see. I don't know. I didn't really notice a whole lot after that, but I don't know. It's there, man. I still think, it's one of these things where you got 3 weeks left. You can still make up a lot of ground. If you haven't played very much, are you going to win? Probably not. But, any semblance of a decent scoring thus far, and you could probably climb up into the top 10 even with only 3 weeks left, because 10 of those scores are all going to get erased and everything. So it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, 4794, man. He's been atop that list most of the year, if not all the year. So kudos to him. Looks like he's got about, or her, looks like they got about a 60-ish point lead still, and still some low scores that could fall off there. So again, it's not over. Again, if you missed some games, still a fun contest, no doubt, to jump in. So FanDuel.com/OG, get your entries over there. Filled last week, so you want to get that early before it fills up. All right, guys, 3 games to go here. We'll turn our attention to the afternoon slate. We'll start with Chicago and Seattle. Seahawks -6.5, 43.5 on this total. So, Chop, we'll stay with you here. Injuries, we'll see if Tyler Lockett's able to return here for Seattle. Justin Fields, questionable on the Bears side. So, some quarterback issues there with Andy Dalton, also on the COVID list. Alex Collins activated off the COVID list. But it was DJ Dallas who took the reins there for Seattle. So he could be a nice, cheap running back play. So, Chop, kind of an ugly game here. A lot of injuries are here to parse through as well. What are you doing here, Bears, Seahawks?
I don't know if I'm doing anything with this game. I'm looking on the road team here, Chicago. Justin Fields only got there last week. In a couple of his games this year, he only gets there sometimes because of garbage time. I don't even know if you're going to get a big garbage time game this week against Seattle, because they're not good enough to really put you behind the 8 ball like that. So I'm just, I look at Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet sometimes and think, oh, well, Allen Robinson's been out. Yeah, those are the guys. And then they disappoint me too. David Montgomery, he had a great stretch last year at the end of the year, and it kind of like made a believer out of a lot of us. But the same things that held him down for like the first 9 weeks last year are the things that are holding him down this year. The offensive line is terrible. It just doesn't give him a real good opportunity. So I'm just not on the Bears here. And the Seattle side might be even worse. They're trying to jam the square peg into the round hole by run when you have Russell and Lockett and Metcalf out there, and it doesn't work out. It's a terrible system. I think people are bailing on Pete Carroll. Something's going on with Metcalf where he's just not performing lately. Even with Lockett out the lineup, he wasn't doing well. And it's no coincidence. Like I think we said on the show before, Metcalf made those Instagram comments about the threesome with the Sierra or whatever. Yeah, he hasn't got very many targets since then. So You gotta watch out what you say to Russell Wilson, man. But these offenses just don't look good, and the defenses aren't half bad. So give me the under on the game. I'm not a big fan of the DFS part of it. Give me the under.
Yeah, this is an ugly game, Derek. Any more optimism here? It's and the chat's getting people are dipping into the eggnog a little early in the chat here. I mean, it's getting crazy over there. But Derek, this one kind of ugly. So Montgomery, it's a good matchup. I mean, Seattle's been pretty bad against running backs, but their team total under 20. Seattle's been a disaster here. Getting Lockett back would help, but I'm with Chop. I don't see a lot in this game to get excited about here today.
Well, I got to start with Russell Wilson. I always thought he was a little bit corny, a little bit eccentric, but did you guys see him practicing, playing or calling the plays in the huddle, like by himself? Did you guys see that?
I did not.
I do. I see. He does
before the game, he's out there by himself on one knee, calling out plays, clapping, pretending like, that was too much for me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't trust anyone on Seattle's offense right now, unless Lockett's out, but he should be back. The backfield, look, it was Penny one week, and then it was Dallas last week. It could be any one of these guys. And then the Bears, maybe a little bit of interest in David Montgomery, like you guys mentioned, but a total of 18 on the road, just not a lot going for me. And I will take the under in this one.
I got to make a pick here. I like the under too, but I got to get a little different here. I'm going to assume Fields plays. I'm going to go with the Bears here, but don't love anything in this game. Don't love making a bet on this game. Let's move on. Next game, Pittsburgh Kansas City Chiefs sitting at -7.5, 44 on the total. This one, COVID is a big part of. Obviously, we know Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce placed on the COVID list. So we'll see if they're able to return. Other side, no practice today for Pat Fryermuth. So, Derek, this one's tough, without knowing Hill and Kelce, obviously. So, tiptoe around this one. If they're unable to play, that's going to open up some value, a lot of value, obviously. Guy like Noah Gray at minimum price. Pringle, Hardman, Robinson become interesting. Maybe the running game becomes a little bit more interesting. So, thoughts on this one? We'll do the best we can here without knowing completely on Tyreek and Kelce. What do you got? Steelers and Chiefs.
Yeah, is there any easy game at this point? It seems like every game we start with
is not.
There's not much we can do. So, the usual suspects are in play for the Chiefs: Mahomes, Tyreek, Kelce, if they're active. I kind of thought Darrell Williams had earned himself a bigger role, but then it was basically all CEH last week. So I'd probably looked at him a little bit. Not the best matchup, but pretty high total there. I'm at home. Steelers side, I like Deontay Johnson quite a bit. They should be trailing in this one. He should kind of eat up a bunch of targets, same that Hunter Renfrow did against this Chiefs team a couple of weeks ago. So I like him. Najee Harris is tough. He's playing every snap, but he just hasn't had that explosiveness the last couple of weeks. And Ben hasn't been dumping the ball off to him as much. So I don't know what to do with them. Do you guys have a strong take there? And then for my pick, give me KC at home.
I'm staying away from Ben. I do like the receivers, assuming they're going to be in catch-up mode here. I like Deontay, like you said. Claypool's been a disappointment, kind of fallen out of favor. So, talking about Russell Wilson being a knucklehead, Claypool, some of the stuff he has pulled, maybe Ray McLeod even is a value option out of the slot here. But I'll stay away from Ben. Najee, like you mentioned, just hasn't been getting the workload he was earlier. So mostly Chiefs for me in this one. We'll see if there's value there. If it's the studs, I'm playing the studs. If there's value, I'm going that route as well. So I like the Chiefs here as well. Chop, thoughts here, Steelers, Chiefs.
I think this is doesn't look all that appealing. I have been really not on the Pittsburgh team all year long. I don't like what they do. Deontay's been a steady performer, but he's like the only guy they got. Chase Claypool is just his talent's being very much underused. Can't get him the ball with Big Ben. Najee, another guy whose talent is being underappreciated out there because of the offensive line. They're terrible, so he can't do anything. And basically, I'm just not a big fan of that. Kansas City's playing much better defense, and they're at home this week. And then you got on the KC side, all the unknown, Hill and Kelce. Kelce kind of reversing the hands of time there for a week last week against the Chargers. Came out with a huge game. Don't expect that to happen again if he's active. This Pittsburgh defense has not been as good as it was last year, but I think their main Achilles is via the run, giving up the run. I don't think Kansas City can take advantage of it. So, even if Hill and Kelce play, I still like them not to be all that great on offense. And if one or two of those guys miss, I expect them to be downright bad. So I'm taking the under on this game.
All right, let's finish it up, Chop. Last game, Denver and the Vegas Raiders. Raiders -1, 41.5 on the total. The news here, Drew Lock going to start at quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Darren Waller remains questionable on the Vegas side. So, Chop, not the most exciting game to finish this up. But what do you got here, Broncos and Raiders?
Drew Lock really, Teddy Bridgewater is bad, but Drew Lock might be worse. I'm not sure. I don't know how that's going to work out. But the one guy I look at in the lineup that I've been playing recently, and I'll probably continue to play, is Javonte Williams, because he's just good. He's just flat out good. And if something happens in game and Melvin Gordon goes down, or they get to have to burn out yardage at the end of a game because they're winning big, Javonte could be a slate breaker. So he's in my player pool, and he could still get there and make value regardless, even if none of those things happen. So Javonte stays in. The other guys I'm out on. For the Raiders, props. They went out there and won a tough game out in Cleveland against another preseason type of lineup, but still, they could have given up on their season already. I expect Carr to have his guys ready. Renfro, whoever's at tight end is going to be a good option. Zay Jones has been getting targeted, sneaky good amount lately, so he's in the player pool. And for all those reasons, I'm kind of on the Raiders here. I think the Raiders show up at home and they just play tough. So give me the Raiders.
Yeah, I like the Javonte call. Melvin Gordon, no practice today. It could be maintenance, but we know he's dealing with multiple injuries here. But Derek, we saw Javonte kind of take the upper hand, 44 snaps to Gordon's 31 last week. So good matchup there. Josh in the chat talking about Drew Lock unlocking the Denver receivers, Derek. So touch on that if you want. I definitely think there's more arm talent with Drew Lock, but I tend to be with Chop. If you didn't beat out Teddy Bridgewater, are you really going to come in? And we've seen this story before. Lock not been great. Vegas side, agree. Renfro's been great. Zay Jones getting more involved. We'll see if Waller's able to return. If not, Foster Moreau looked okay in that game against Cleveland. Likely staying away from the running game here with Vegas. But Derek, finish us up here. Broncos, Raiders, what do you got?
Yeah, I was going to bring up the snap rate for Javonte that you hit on, and also had 19 touches last week. So it does seem like he's kind of separating himself here with a couple games to go. And with Melvin banged up, I think it's a pretty good spot for Javonte. And, it seems like Drew Lock loved his tight ends. Maybe that's a bad take from me, but I always thought, he just threw to Noah Fant more than anyone else. So I'll have to go back and look at that. But if that's the case, I don't mind looking at Fant in tournaments. Raiders side, you guys mentioned it. I like Renfro. I'm okay with Jacobs. He's been playing a lot of snaps. And then I play Foster Moreau every week when Waller's out just because, Derek Carr loves his tight ends. So those are the options that I'm looking at. For my pick, I never get the Raiders right, so I don't want to go for or against them. I will take the under in this one.
All right, I'm going to go with Denver here. This looks off. Vegas should be favored a little bit more at home here, especially with Drew Lock playing. So if the line stinks, I'm gonna go with it here. I'm gonna go Denver plus the 1 for my last pick. So parlay card, we got Buffalo plus 2.5, and the Chargers we locked in at the 9.5. We'll see what that line's looking like. And we have a visitor. I'm loving it here. The little man back in the house. So how are you, my dude? I'm mute there, Derek. We got to give him some time here. It's Christmas. So
how you doing?
Good.
Good. Are you excited for Santa to come? We got a couple days till Santa comes down the chimney. You've been good this year?
Yeah.
All right. What's the number one toy on the want list? What are we asking Santa for?
All the Pokemon cards.
Okay. Love it. Chop, any questions here for the little guy while we got him?
Any interest in a bobblehead of your dad?
A little toy of your dad?
Yeah.
All righty, then I can set that up.
There we go. Get some bottleheads going. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So we're over an hour here, so we want to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Guys, before we get out of here, what's the plan for Christmas? What do we got going on? Derek, we'll go to you. What are we doing for Christmas this year?
Christmas Eve, I'm kind of making all of the rounds. And then I just said, hey, my doors are open if you want to come visit me. That way I don't have to leave on Christmas, and I don't feel obligated to go anywhere. And if you don't show up, that's on you guys.
There you go, which is the best. Then the little dude gets to play with all his toys. We're always rushing out the door. My kids are still trying to play with stuff. And so we'll be making all the rounds on Christmas, unfortunately. But glad to see him. So Merry Christmas to you and the family. Chop, Christmas, what do we got going on?
Well, I did the whole Thanksgiving thing at my house, so Christmas kind of got to reverse the roles and visit other people. So I'll be making the rounds on Christmas Day and figuring out where to go and getting some good food and watching double headers, man. We got NBA and NFL this year,
Yes,
so I'm
we
excited.
do. Absolutely. Going to be an exciting day. So Merry Christmas, Chop, to you and the family as well. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody out there from the OGs. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us each and every week. Josh, very active in the chat. Special shout out to him here and the whole team at Rotogrinders behind the scenes. We appreciate you for everything you do. So make sure you head over to FanDuel.com/OG. Join us in our last couple weeks here of this competition. Should be fun. We'll continue to track that down to the wire. Forgot to give our updates on our bets, but basically we crushed it. 24-9 cumulative. Chop 9-2 last week. So continues to stretch his lead. Derek 8-3. I was 7-4. So we're not making up any ground, but hey, we're handing out winners. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's show. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody out there from the team here at Rotogrinders and the OGs. For Notorious and that adorable little boy, Merry Christmas to him. Hope Santa brings all the toys for you, my man. For Chop, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you so much for listening. Happy holidays, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.